Devang Mehta is also joining us from Spark Capital. He's, of course, the Director Equity Advisory at Spark. Devang, afternoon. Devang, what are your views on the entire fertilizer pack? This is the most obvious agri play, and ever since Mr. Chauhan Shivraj Singh Chauhan has come here as the agri minister, people are looking for agri plays. Fertilizer appears to be the most obvious one. But then there is a category, say EID, Parry, Coromandel, the larger ones. And then you go down the PSU pack or the smaller ones. Where are you finding more comfort?
Thanks, Ajay, for having me on the show. And again, congratulations to all of you for a successful completion of 15 years and wishes for a great future ahead for all at ET now. I think, yes, a very relevant question in the scheme of things that today we are seeing certain sectors which have so far not participated aggressively in the rally. Like fertilizers, like agri plays, as well as even private banks that are coming back to the fore. And particularly about your question, Ajay, on the agri plays and fertilizer as a sector, I think, yes, we know that the budget is now coming closer, probably in July, somewhere in mid of July. So my sense is that there are a lot of participants who are expecting that there will be a lot of boost which will be given to the rural side of the economy, as it has sort of not done so well. Some of the FMCG participants also came in this analyst guidance that most of these companies are now trying to come back, and there was a decent volume growth which is seen. Now, I think on the agri plays and on the fertilizer side, and also agrochemicals and specialty chemicals, it seems that probably they have gone through an extremely tough phase in the last 1.5, 2 years when the capex side of the market has done well. I think these are some of them are really value plays. To tell you the truth, yes, companies like Coromandel, companies like PI Industries, all these are sort of picks for a lot of our clients. And also on the agri side, some companies like Sumitomo Chemicals, which are again in agrochemicals, specialty chemicals, most of these companies, the process of destocking also seems to be over. So I think this is, as a sector, this looks interesting. Probably people are expecting a lot from the budget, that something to be left on the hand of the consumer, the agrarian economy, the rural economy, the hinterland comes back to the fore. But honestly, this is just the start of the rally. I feel that there are still legs to go ahead if this is followed with good earnings growth as well.
Now, the farm equipment end of the rural side has obviously already made a recovery because it's punched up in names like Eicher as well as M&M. But what about the FMCG plays? Do you see a sustained move in a Dabur, Marico, etc.? Because we've only seen sporadic move-ups.
Yeah, they've been a lot more inconsistent, and I was actually expecting that maybe over the last couple of days you might see a bounce back coming back into FMCG names, because after that 10% jump into many of these FMCG stocks, they've been consolidating for the last 7-8 days, and I think they were the first sectors to try and show a sign of covering up of the huge underperformance the sector had shown over the last 6 to 11 months. So I think in that aspect, I was actually expecting a bounce back, but I would still believe that because many of the stocks which were trading significantly below their long-term averages, the likes of Dabur, HUL, Britannia, I think many of these stocks have made a very strong comeback in the last 2-3 weeks or so, just prior to the election results. And I think from there, these stocks have looked quite strong. So I would probably believe that this could be a dip to buy into many of these names. Dabur, I think closer to 600 levels. HUL, I think the stock comes back closer to that 2300, 2400 mark. I think these are very attractive levels to try and go for a contra buy.
Nuresh, we are seeing pretty divergent moves in telecom today. On the one hand, Vodafone from a discount has actually 2-3% cut in the morning, is now closer to days high, thereabout. But Bharti is actually witnessing a good profit taking. Is there an opportunity to get into Bharti at 1400 odd?
So Bharti has been a slow and steady mover over the last, say, 1 month, etc. And see, pre-exit poll also, the stock had made a top around 1400. So I would expect it to hold 1360 to 1380 levels. So closer to 1380 is where you want to buy. In terms of the volatility in Vodafone Idea, that has been forever, say, 2 times in this year, it went closer to 18 and then came back to 12 also. So for now, 18 remains a major resistance. And then there is madness going on in Industars in terms of, if you look at the open interest now, it's almost 220%. So the stock may remain in band for the next, maybe all through the expiry, and there could be rollover issues also. So out there is a lot of volatility, a lot of volumes given a huge block. But for now, I would be looking at Bharti Airtel closer to 1380 as a buying option.
That's correct. After the block, everybody wants to get into Indus Tower, and probably that is the reason for the sharp spike in OI. Among reasons, another reason why the entire fertilizer pack could be very active today is that there is my colleague Sumit actually joining in, and he gathering that there is a case building for some reduction on that side as far as GST is concerned. Sumit, tell us when is the next GST Council meeting happening?
Well, just to begin with, the GST Council meeting is on Saturday, the June 22nd. But yes, relief likely for fertilizer sector because the fitment committee has recommended to GOM on rate rationalization to bring down GST on fertilizer from the current 5%. That's one important aspect there. Currently, the fertilizer GST is 5%, and the fitment committee has recommended to bring it down. However, the final call is yet to be taken. Also, certain other issues will be discussed in the meeting over the weekend. There will be this clarification on tobacco products, cigarettes, BD, smokeless tobacco. Also, online gaming could get relief because of 20% GST, which was implemented. That can be reviewed as well. That's another thing. But main issue is of fertilizer. Industry has been demanding 5% duty reduction from the last many GST meetings. And this time, the fitment committee has recommended to GOM to bring down from 5%. So these all things could be happening over the next few days, and the final decision will be possible to see only on the weekend on Saturday, June 22nd.
Well, yeah, Saturday is when it's that all-important GST Council meeting, but the fertilizer pack, of course, is holding a buzz ahead of that in anticipation. By the way, just want to mark what the global markets are up to, because while we started off just about quiet, today I would say select markets in Asia have managed to outperform the rest of the globe. Look at Kospi, look at Hong Kong. Hong Kong, it was on a tear today. An over 500-point move, almost a 3% rally is what that index saw at a time when China was actually in the lag. European markets, they've started off mildly soft. In fact, markets like CAC are down about almost 0.5%. And the stock 600, the broader index, that's also getting a little bit mildly soft after, the UK inflation print has actually fallen. The FTSE as well is a little bit lackluster. US markets, I think, are closed overnight. But we do have actually seen a bit of a fall, not just in the overall market, but in the Nifty Bank also, which is reflective on the rest of the markets as well. You are seeing some amount of skim getting eased from the top. Kunal, a trade for the Nifty Bank today and tomorrow, and the trend, irrespective of this last hour profit taking, do you think that's on the breakout, on the upside?
Yeah, it's definitely on the breakout on the upside, and I think the last 1,000 points move for the Bank Nifty is more because of the options expiry, the weekly expiry today, because we got very close towards that 52,000 mark on the Bank Nifty. 51,957 approximately is the high for the bank index, and there's bound to be some protection which typically comes back when you are nearing a round strike for the indices. But I would believe that this is just a pullback correction for the banking index because of the expiry. Once that settles out, I would probably believe over the next couple of days you might see one more round of up move coming into the banking stocks. And I think the best way to try and encash or ride this trend would be to try and look at the leadership stocks or the leader stocks. And I think in that sense, HDFC Bank, Axis Bank would be the two prominent names over here.
Mm-hmm. Devang, there is talk also on the street that the Heavy Industries Ministry may actually set up a task force to improve to set up a capital good policy 2025, improve automation on manufacturing side, etc. Which are the mid-tier companies which could be a beneficiary from the capital goods / automation space in your view?
Very interesting if this goes through, Ajay, because this is one space which will continuously need boost. More and more, I think capital goods / infra / power / ancillaries, automation, AI. I think most of these companies are part of our portfolios, and we have gone down and drilled the last level proxy plays, which are very, very important to set up. Though they are last level, but they are the first level to set up businesses. So some of these interesting industries include air compressors, right? The likes of LG Equipment or Kirloskar Pneumatic or something like an Ingersoll Rand, just giving certain examples. Now, these are businesses which are extremely, the industry itself is 45,000 crores in terms of market cap. Now, I don't see any reason why this can't grow multifold if you require air compressors, which are extremely critical in terms of setting up of any plant or any facility that people start. So this is one sector which one should look at. I think in the capex side, we have always talked about energy space, something like a Hitachi Energy, which has already given great sort of returns to the investors. But from here on also, if the EPS grows, which seems in all possibility, and the order book is already swelling, I think these are certain proxy plays which will keep on doing extremely well. And of course, the usual suspects like the Siemens and ABB who are flush with orders, and they give orders down the line to other companies, other bearing companies, motion management companies like Timken. I think there are a plethora of companies which benefit if such capital good policy or something of order or a lot of orders from the government side as the private capex picks up.
Nuresh, while the auto names like M&M, etc., are still making big moves, one stock I want to do a chart check with you on is Force Motors. Around the 9,000 mark, it appears to getting stuck. Is it a time it should spend some more time here before it moves, or is it a good time to start accumulating now?
It has gone into a one-way move in 2024. It went from 4,500, 5,000 all the way to 10,000 very quickly. So this is a pause wherein the stock has got into a range of 10,000 to 8,000. The trend is positive, classical consolidation. So yes, at 9,000, 9,200 odd levels, the stock still looks interesting. One could keep a stop loss at 8,500, and given the trend is strong, it could again go back and make new all-time highs. So positive on the stock. It's just that it's not the most liquid name.
Suresh, let's have your BTST trades too.
Continue to like the banking names as such. So first would be a buy on RBL Bank, which has given a breakout. Stop loss at 265, target price of 280. Second would be a buy on Kotak Bank, which is closer to range reversal. Stop loss at 1740, target price of 1780.
Right. Kunal, what about your strategies?
So I'll go with the one Axis Bank, targets of 1260, stop loss to be kept at 1200. And the second would be a one IDFC First Bank, something which we've been discussing over the last couple of days for a potential target of 88, and stop loss could now be revised to 80.
In fact, we've been talking so much about the F&O market and whether it's risky. A lot of regulators as well have come on public forums and spoken about it. Let's hear out some of the top market voices and their opinions on the risk in the F&O segment in the market right now.
I do hope the retail investor gets to be in the long-term category as opposed to the trading category, which of course is happening through the SIP route. So it is happening through the SIP route. But individual retail investors, from what I understand at least, is pretty gung-ho on F&O trading, option trading, because of the tax incentives are lined up there. I think that's probably a bit short-sighted of them.
Some of the riskiest instruments like derivatives, small investors should stay away. Sure. And they should be kept away so that it doesn't bring basically a situation where small investors can get hurt.
India real estate is 50, gold is 12, equities is single digits. There's no peak participation. In fact, I don't see that widespread ownership as yet. I think it is going to come now. And don't see it by number of people, see it by the exposure they have. What percentage of their balance sheet is in stocks? Right, we have achieved breadth in the last 7-8 years thanks to a lot of work done by the government, the regulator, the mutual fund industry. Hats off to all of them. They've achieved breadth but not depth.
The index going up is typically EPS multiplied by PE. So there has been a dramatic increase in the PE. One can take that as a sign of froth, or one can try to look underneath and see what is the structural change that we are looking at.
With the derivative market is 400 times of the underlying cash market. So we can't be creating, a sustainable bull market on the basis of that. We definitely have all the fundamentals in place.
There are all kinds of retail money that's coming to us. The more positive I feel about is the structural flow of money through the SIPs. The other part of the money will depend on the market cycle. There would be cycles where, let's say, if market goes a little sideways to a little downward, you will see some of those players kind of maybe leaving the market. But a large part of the money that we are seeing from investors is very structural in nature, and I think it has a long way to go.
Right. So Navneet is of the view that bulk of the capital flows into the market right now are structural, and some part, of course, is actually quite indulgent on the F&O side. But Devang, if we were to talk about some of the market beneficiaries, stocks like Prudent or the intermediaries, say CAMS, KFIN category, some of the asset managers, Nuvama or Anand Rathi Wealth, which side are you most comfortably wanted if one were to take a bet on the market ecosystem type of stocks?
Question. In fact, Ajay, there are a lot of intermediaries nowadays who are beneficiaries of this so-called theme called financialization, and we are seeing that surely India is moving from physical assets to financial assets. And I think if I categorize this very clearly, we are very strongly faced towards exchanges, right? So one is a sector which is stock exchanges which are listed, which is listed in India, and of course there will be more listings that will happen over a period. So this is one sector. Of course, the intermediaries like CDSL, right, which is again a big beneficiary of a lot of demat accounts opening, a lot of listings also coming to the fore. There are asset management companies, but there are also wealth management companies and broking companies now listed. In the packing order, if I can put, then there are the exchanges as well as this companies, depositories, which I talked about. Very interesting as a sector. Also looks something in the wealth management space, right? Why this looks very interesting is because they are beneficiaries of not only people earning more, more and more people becoming millionaires and billionaires. I think across the strategy, across the strata, there is wealth creation which is happening. I think there are beneficiaries also. Markets have done extremely well. Most of the primary markets, secondary markets, everything doing well. I think all asset classes moving up together. Even real estate people were stuck and they're also coming out of real estate. And as a cycle, this cycle is also doing well. So my sense is that financialization as a theme has to do well. Of course, banks had a bit of hibernation period. They would also come back. But most of this wealth management / depositories / exchanges would keep on doing well.
Okay, in fact, the good news has been that Monsoon, while the arrival was on time, the bad news is that the Met Department has predicted that India is going to witness below normal monsoon in the month of June this year at 92% of the long period average. The Weather Department said that monsoon is deficit by 20% so far this month. In fact, my colleague Aishwarya joins in with more updates on the same. Aishwarya?
That's correct, Aisha. We're supposed to be in the thick of monsoon by 18th, 19th of July, and see, we're in a very bad shape at this point in terms of monsoon and the showers that we've seen, at least in Mumbai as well, right? But as you rightly pointed out, IMD has predicted below average rainfall or below normal rainfall. Earlier, they had mentioned that June will see above normal rainfalls. 92% of the long period average, as you rightly mentioned. Now, the reason behind this being that the southwest monsoon have been stuck until 12th of June. We saw the monsoon being stuck at these particular passes, which is Navsari, Jalgaon, Amravati, Bijapur, Sukhme, Malkangiri. Until the 12th of June, they were still stuck there. So if we see some forward movement from these passes, we could have still seen better showers. Certain regions, in fact, have seen above normal rainfall, which includes, of course, the southern peninsular India, the south of India, as well as northeast India. But below normal rainfall is being witnessed across northwest, central India, as well as some regions of northeast India as well. Now, if we talk about the countrywide picture for showers and monsoon, it's been 20% in terms of deficit. We've seen only 64 mm average rainfall across the country, as opposed to over 80 millimeters of rainfall that you see during the month of June. Now, amid all of the regions, northwest India, central India, as well as east and northeast India are still seeing a deficit of anywhere between 15% to 70%, and southern peninsular India is the only region that is in the green at 60% more rainfall from its long period average. Usually it's about 92 mm in southern peninsular India, but we've seen over 106 millimeters of rainfall. So this is the only region that has seen a bit of a positive. As far as Mumbai's water levels are concerned, that's also looking pretty in a very bad shape. The number is precarious. At this point, the water levels until June 19th across all the 7 lakes that provide water to the city of Mumbai is only 5.3%. In fact, 2 of the reservoirs are reservoirs, and the water content, useful water content, is at 0%, which is at Upper Vaitarna and at Bhatsa. So rest of them, there is still some water, useful water content, but these 2 particular reservoirs are completely empty at this point. So it might be alarming for us in terms of how the monsoons have taken shape across the month of June, and the hope is only that we see better showers by the end of July as well.
All right, thanks for that, Aishwarya. Let's hope so that this is a moving average, by the way. So as we go forward into the monsoon, let's see if it picks up or not. But Devang, RBI is still in its forecast assuming a normal monsoon this time round. Which part of the agri kind of beyond, of course, fertilizers, do you like agri lenders, equipment makers, pipe companies, or motor pump companies? Anything else which you like in the rural side?
I think yes, we like the auto sector as a whole, and I know that a lot of these companies, right from Maruti to Hero MotoCorp to even a company like Eicher, sells a lot of its automobiles in the rural area, and the two-wheeler companies also like Bajaj and Hero MotoCorp, who have just come out of a shell in the last, I think, 6 months to 2 or 3 quarters. Most of the numbers, be it tractors, be it bikes, be it two-wheelers, have generally been good. Maybe there is a period, a 1 month period, where there can be a bit of slack, but otherwise the numbers have been good. Also, to support this sector, there is an ancillary play which has also done very well. So most of the auto components or auto ancillaries went through a very difficult cycle post-COVID. 2-3 years were extremely difficult, but I think last couple of years, the aspirational India and the rural India coming back, I think most of this sectors and these themes have started to do well. So I think a lot of these themes can be interesting, though autos and auto ancillaries have given good returns, but it does not mean that from here on it would not sort of do well. A lot of these companies are at an inflection point. I think next 2-3 years, if this is good for the economy, also the agrarian, the rural side of the economy, I see no reason why automobiles also, or auto components can be a proxy play to play the rural recovery or the agri economy.
Okay, that's the take coming in on a bunch of these stocks and themes in the market right now. In the meantime, since we are on the subject of the agri reforms, with the NDA government now back in power for a third consecutive time, what's the policy focus expected to be? Market veterans Purinju Veliathridam Desai believe that it's time for investors to turn their attention towards the agri theme.
I feel next 5 years is going to be a very important time for the agriculture in India. With respect to the rural stress we are going through, it's a huge challenge out there. And, after the 10 years of these reforms, and people complain about the gap between the haves and have-nots have widened. It's true. So that is how, the initial part of any large reform period starts. So we have gone through that. Prime Minister Modi's vision and the government's efforts have created a wonderful platform to grow much bigger.
Farm sector, it is not in good shape. Okay, our farmers account for 40% of India's workforce, and they produce all of 15% of India's output. So they are 1/5 as productive as the rest of the country. And when you have 200 million farmers who are so less productive, something needs to happen. I thought the farm laws were great. Okay, but unfortunately the politics, caused them to be withdrawn. And I just hope that we get farm reforms, because if the farmers get some tailwind, then India will surprise on the upside. That's not baked into GDP, it's not baked into our market call. We're not assuming that the farm sector will do better than it has in the last 30, 40, 50 years. But it has great potential.
The next 5 years, apart from other things, I think the rural area will be real focus of this government, right? And as we have seen Mr. Modi's track record over so many years, right? He will recognize it that is where the party has actually not done well, specifically in rural areas. And there is no denial that the purchasing power in rural areas had gone down. It was reflected into the growth of a lot of FMCG companies. It was reflected into our interaction with these kind of companies over the last 3-4 years. I think it will be a tremendous focus area in the next 4 to 5 years. And from a stock market perspective, the new winners actually could come from this sector.
Fertilizers were looking very, very interesting. And some of the farm equipment players were looking very, very interesting. So I think I would look at those kind of places. So I thought there were some interesting moves happened there. And more so, as I said, everyone's been talking about the next 100-day agenda. And definitely there seems to be a lot that this government will need to do.
Some new triggers. Defense has played out, power has played out, maybe
and
Agri.
Shivraj Chauhan coming in, you know. So there is a feeling that there's a lot going to happen. And I feel that these are themes that could play out in the Agri space.
Devang, have you looked at Indigo lately? After the big block, the stock has actually gone sideways. It appears that that big block may have sucked a bit of a near-term demand. But at 4,200 odd, again, 2% lower, $100 gone today as well. Is it a good level to entry? And would you play Aviation this way or maybe via the airport way? Because there was a big upgrade on airports as well recently.
Yeah, true. So I think Ajay, both things, airport as well as aviation, we are so far not playing to tell you the fact. Of course, we have our eyes open and we are looking at the options over there, and there are not many options available, as you rightly said, Indigo and another one option. But apart from this, very important is if the travel theme, if you want to play the travel theme, if you want to play the, as I said, the luxury discretionary consumption play, we are into hotel sector. So we are into companies like Indian Hotels or EIH, where again for EIH specifically, the ARR, the average room rates are at 18,000. The demand for the entire hotel industry, generally the organized hotel industry, the 5-star, 4-star is growing at around 13-14%, and the supply is right now coming at 3 or 4 percentage points. So my sense is that this industry, be it religious tourism, spiritual tourism, inbound tourism, or even your, I can say leisure tourism, most of these companies are at full occupancies. These hotels are at 75-80% occupancies, and they are commanding that sort of a pricing power which they had never seen. And the balance sheet have also got sort of deleveraged, and they are all working on operational efficiencies as well. So my sense is that one needs to sort of look into this sector. This was always a cyclical sector. It's getting more and more structural as we go forward. So the sense one gets is, rather than airports and sort of aviation, where it's a very capital intensive industry, hotels used to be, but now they are working on niche models where somebody's constructing the hotel property and they are managing it, so that which is their core competence. So that seems to be an interesting sector.
Sure, Devang, thanks as always for your time. Kunal, Naresh, we'll let you go on that note as well, and I'm gonna.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.